Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor E3 edition, E3 prediction edition. I don't even have any predictions, but I'll make them up as I go. We hope you are watching this on SIFTD.net as a Patreon patron. And if not, if you're watching on YouTube, then please try to remember to link your Prime account to your Twitch account. The instructions are below and it's really easy to do. If you have done that already, you've got to renew that subscription, so re-up it. That again, instructions below, it's a single click, really easy to do. Predictions are hard. You've got, Sony pulling out, not there at all. So odds are we're not going to get massive announcements out of Sony. It used to be pretty easy to say what they were going to talk about. They could do a Nintendo Direct kind of thing, and that's fine, but I don't know that there's any big new game announcements. Certainly they're not going to announce PS5. I mean, we've seen specs, but I think those things are subject to change. So Sony, probably not much. Nintendo, new sheriff in town, Doug Bowser. What a stud. I love that guy. I know a lot of you thought Reggie was the bomb. Doug is the bomb in a smaller package. He's a great dude. He's a little guy where Reggie's a big guy. Bowser is just a wonderful, friendly, great guy. I don't expect a lot from Nintendo, but I do think if they're going to launch a Switch Lite, that's the right time. And by Switch Lite, I think that the device is highly likely just to be the same old Switch with the Joy-Cons, but all molded into one piece. And if you get rid of the docking station and the power supply, and you just have a handheld that plugs into the wall just like your old handhelds used to, you can probably cut $30-40 out of the cost of making that thing, and the shipping costs and the packaging costs. And to be honest, a lot of people play the Switch on their laps. I mean, they don't play it docked. So those people who want to play docked can still buy the more expensive, my guess is that the price comes down, but the more expensive version probably goes to $249. And those who want just the handheld version can pay $199. I think the right time to announce the device is E3. Maybe no price cuts until the fall. It's most of the time the console manufacturers don't announce price cuts at E3 because they save them for holiday and they don't want to screw that up. But they could announce the Switch Lite coming out, in my guess is almost immediately after E3. Now, do we get any big games announced? Yes, of course. And the big game this year is a Pokemon game. What's left? Mario Kart. I mean, I don't know if they'll announce it, but I say that's the next big franchise in the Nintendo universe that they haven't had a new game since the Wii U days. And Mario Kart the real one came out in 13 maybe, or 14. So, I mean, we've gotten a Zelda, a Mario, Super Mario, and Smash Brothers. Mario Kart's the fourth of the four giant titles. I mean, we can argue about Luigi's Mansion and Super Mario and Luigi. They can do all those games. Yoshi, they can do all those games. But Mario Kart's the one that, if I had to bet, they'll announce it for sometime next year, and that will be great. And that keeps the momentum going. So I got to say, Nintendo with this console, with this Switch, has managed its product better than any cycle I remember ever. I mean, it's just been big hit after big hit after big hit. And even though Mario Kart 8 did great, I think Mario Kart 9, that's just another reason on a Switch. And I frankly think that's coming. EA, I think you get a little more clarity about the twist on the Titanfall series. I don't know that they'll necessarily announce it. It looks to me like Apex is doing so well that they probably slip that game into the following year. But I think you get more clarity on the Battlefield franchise and the Star Wars franchise. So we know Jedi Fallen Order is coming out. We're probably due for another version of Star Wars from the DICE studio. And it's probably not going to be Battlefront. So we'll probably get an announcement of a reimagined Star Wars as well. They may not date it, but I think that's coming. Microsoft is the more interesting one because they've got two giant franchises on the software side, Gears and Halo, and both were teased at E3 last year. So, if you remember Gears Pop or whatever, that was the fun, stupid game. But then at the very end of Rod Ferguson's speech, we saw a teaser of Gears, and same with Halo. So I think that will be the headline grabber. I don't think Microsoft announces a new console. I think this is going to be a software show for them. I mean, I think that they'll talk about streaming. I think they're going to talk about Game Pass. I think they're going to talk about games as a service, and they're going to talk about games. And I think it's really smart to say, here's our new Halo, here's our new Gears. Maybe both coming next year. Maybe wink, wink, coming for a new console. They could say that. They may say we'll launch with the next Xbox. Stay tuned. That'd be really smart. So, rather than announce the next Xbox and show us the specs and price it and talk about it, better to say, here's all the software we have for it. Obsidian is the one that I think is the more AAA of the batch, and we know they got Outer Worlds coming, and that's not an Xbox exclusive. So I doubt anything from Obsidian in the next year or two. So I don't expect more out of Microsoft. Ubi, I think, is probably the one that's going to be the most exciting because they've been really quiet, but a lot of shit's in development. So we know Skull and Bones is coming because that's been delayed, so for sure. We know Assassin's Creed took a year off, so it's not coming in 19, so it's coming in 20. I don't know if they're going to show it or not, but we know it's coming. But what's left? Well, there's a lot of Tom Clancy left. So do we get Splinter Cell? I mean, that's been rumored for 3 or 4 years. What's that?
Years.
Yeah, but I think it's coming. We'll get more, detail on stuff like Beyond Good and Evil, which isn't as big, but still fun. And then maybe Watch Dogs, and obviously they have a Far Cry franchise. So they have more shit that they could talk about than anybody. Really kind of amazing how well that publisher has done in lining up great content. So like I said, I think you've got at least 3 Tom Clancy franchises they can talk about, and I expect at least 1. I expect Assassins, Watch Dogs, and at least Far Cry to be discussed, whether they're coming next year, but they could be launching 4 big games next year. And the thing about Ubi that I think is great is that they learn from each version, so their recurring revenue stream from multiplayer gets better and better and better. They're just getting better at it. So I'm really looking forward to their press conference. I think you're going to hear and see a lot of stuff. Activision said something to me that was cryptic several months ago, that after Mike Morhaime left, and so after BlizzCon, Activision said to me, we need to rethink how we announce new titles, because doing it only at E3 or at BlizzCon boxes us in, and people expect a giant announcement at BlizzCon, and when it doesn't happen, they get disappointed. So if you remember Diablo 4 not at BlizzCon, Diablo Immortal, pounded at BlizzCon. So I don't know if they announce anything at E3. We'll obviously get the name of Modern Warfare 4 or whatever in the gameplay, but sometime between E3 and BlizzCon, I think you're going to hear about the lineup next year, and it might include Diablo 4. It wouldn't surprise me if they announced a Warcraft mobile game coming or in development. Not that it's coming next week, but they could do something. I doubt they will, so my bias is they won't. But they could, because I think there's a lot in development there, particularly on the mobile side. And nobody cares if they announce a new Candy Crush or something. Like, that's not going to move the needle. Take-Two tends to just not announce anything at E3. Fortunately, they've got Borderlands coming in September, so I think the show will be all about Borderlands. I think Borderlands would be great. And to be honest, I think by E3, you're going to have Red Dead Online up in the actual playable, real-world version. So I think Take-Two is going to probably be showing a lot of stuff at E3, but the Rockstar guys tend not to be there. If I had to bet, I'd say the Rockstar guys preempt E3 by announcing a whole new Red Dead Online, mission or event, which again, they're smart. They're smart marketers, and I think that would actually work. Bethesda's got some splaining to do. I love those guys, and they have done a really good job on most games. But boy, they blew it with Fallout 76. Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard. These are hard things to do. They're not really a mobile developer, although Fallout Shelter was fun.
Did real great.
Right. So, so I don't know. Wolfenstein Youngbloods. I guess that's what they show, but like there's nothing.
It's a spin-off.
They're gonna probably announce something big because they're pretty good at that, and they have their big event. I don't know what's left. I'll be real. Like I say, Elder Scrolls 6 gets announced every year, but it's not going to be announced. Like it's not.
Well, it was announced last
year.
year.
No, but it's not coming this year.
Right. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't think it's coming for like 4 years.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to announce, but I'll bet that they one thing about them is they always surprise us. They always come up with something we don't know is coming. So I'm looking forward to their press conference probably more than any other, because they manage to keep things secret and surprise us. And I want to give massive props to EA. Like, who knew about Apex Legends? Like, it got leaked the Saturday before it got announced on Monday. It was like out 2 days early, but my God, that team was working on it for a year and nobody knew. So I kind of like secrets. This is back to the days before the internet. We used to be really surprised by E3, and no more surprises. CD Projekt, if I had to bet, they'll date Cyberpunk 2077 at E3. If I had to bet, it's a spring 2020 game. I don't think it's this fall. Might be, but my bias is that they're gonna avoid Christmas, launch in March or April, and kill it and sell 20 million units because that game looks amazing. So I expect them to show big. Warner Brothers could surprise with a Batman game.
Suicide Squad is the word on the street.
Yeah, that could be, and that'd be fun. Who's making it? Is it Rocksteady?
Montreal.
Oh, who's the Montreal studio there?
It's their new studio, basically.
Oh, okay.
But they're saying in association with Rocksteady, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that would actually be good. Rocksteady's good, so that'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, kind of an uneventful E3. So that's it for my predictions. And just a reminder, this is our last episode before E3. Shane is going to be running SIFTD from the floor at E3. I'm going to do an episode from the floor at E3. This is your last chance to subscribe as a Patreon patron to get real time from the floor of E3 when it's happening. I encourage you to do that. Obviously, if you can't afford it, you can get it later, and you can link your Prime account to your Twitch account. We appreciate that. You can follow us on Twitter regardless, at Michael Pachter, at Dinfire, at SIFTD Games. And if you're watching this after E3, it was really fun. Sorry we missed you. If you're watching this before E3, looking forward to talking to you live from the floor. See you soon. Thanks for joining us. Now what I am going to predict, and these are the ones I have here, I'm going to be drinking some good whiskey. So I have a bottle of Whistle Pig straight rye whiskey. You want to see something beautiful?
That box is beautiful.
Isn't that box beautiful? Look at that.
That's crazy.
Okay, so this, I'm going to have to do a shout out.
What percentage of our viewers know who Boss Hog is?
Look it up. So I have this wonderful sponsor. This one's hard to read because I hate to unwrap it. Bring
it up a little closer.
This is Rip Van Winkle, old Rip Van Winkle. And this, I've shown this one before, but this is a new one. This is Bruichladdich Black Art, 1990.
Is it bent?
Huh?
Your case is bent.
That's okay. This is a...
Wow.
I just want to break the bottle.
They go all out with the packaging.
So these bottles are 3 of about 15 so far that I've purchased of special whiskeys that I am pouring at my E3 party. And these are what are going to be called private stash bottles. I literally I've been going in shifts. I've been taking them into my office because my office is 2 blocks from the E3 party, and I just don't have a car big enough to haul this many bottles of. But this is $500, just so you know. Yeah, this is crazy. This is only 10-year-old bourbon.
See why you don't take it out of the wrap.
Yeah, Boss Hog is $500 as well. So I've got private stash. I can list all the ones that I purchased so far, but and what I did was I went to people that I really, really love, and that I just want to make sure that not only they come to my party, but they hang out and they have a great time because they're so interesting. And I offered them the opportunity to have a private stash bottle. And so what I'm doing is, and I'm not going to name the people because this would give it away, but the guy who asked for this, I'm going to buy those little the little white tags with a hole in them and I'm going to hang from a rubber band on the bottle with his name on it. And we have 3 bars at the party, and I'm going to tell him your private stash is at that bar, and he's going to tell people, you want to try my private stash, go over there and ask for my private stash, and they'll pour you a glass. If you go to the wrong bar, you ask for the wrong person, you're not getting it. So this is another one, private stash. This is Sean, so I'll tell you. Sean Kane, who paid for this, so he gets whatever he wanted. He asked for this. As it happens, so did another guest, so I have 2 bottles of this stuff. I've never had this. So these are $500. I've never had this, I've never had this, I have had this. And I've got, just so you know, I'm going to give you all these whiskeys to look up. You should only buy one of these, but you should always have a bottle of something phenomenal and only pour it for people that you really want to make happy. I bought a bottle of Código tequila. You can put a graphic up if you want. And I know nothing about tequila, but so I was doing some homework on tequila, and I learned that tequila comes in reposado and añejo. And reposado, I'm sure I'm screwing this up, is like aged for a year. And I didn't know this. I thought tequila was older than this. 1 year. I think that's right. And then añejo, which is old, is aged for 2 years.
That's it.
That's it. So expensive tequilas, you drink Patron, Añejo, it's like 2 years old. And if I'm wrong, somebody look it up and you can tweet me. You better follow me or I won't talk to you. But then there's a concept called extra Añejo, and that's more than 2 years. So I bought this Código, and it's aged for 6 more years in American oak barrels that contained bourbon. So it is this color.
Wow.
And I have no idea what it tastes like. But no, well, just picks up a little hint of the bourbon.
I can hardly drink tequila.
The reviews say it's phenomenal. Then I bought one called Casa Dragones Sipping Tequila, and of course I didn't know this, but I bought it for a woman guest who, again, I'm not going to name because I don't want everybody to drink her whiskey or her tequila. But apparently Casa Dragones is run by a woman, and the tequila maker is a woman. It's like $275 a bottle for tequila. 54 months, which again, it's a little over 4.5 years. I didn't know that tequila was that baby. I bought a bottle of Dalmore King Alexander. I'm just doing these from memory. I'm sure I've got more, which is $300 or $400, phenomenal. I don't know what makes it special, but I've had it before. I bought a Glenfarclas 41-year-old and a Glenfarclas 40-year-old because I could. For somebody who said, I just want a good scotch, I don't care. So I know there's more. Oh, I'm getting a bottle. I haven't gotten it yet. Dos Armadillos Clay, C-L-A-Y. It's 2 armadillos chasing each other and biting each other's tails around the bottle, and the bottle is made out of red clay. It is
really?
a cool. Yeah, it's like $500. It's so cool.
Wow.
It's so cool looking. So anyway, I have some very special whiskeys and spirits for my very special guests. I know I've got more. I'm still trying to figure out if there's a really high-end like vodka. I can't find one.
Really?
Yeah, $100 is the highest I could find. But I've got a budget. I've still got a few more bottles to buy. So here's what I'm asking from you guys. If you can think of a whiskey, and I'd say $500. I don't care if it's rum, rye, bourbon, scotch, vodka, gin, tequila. If you could think of one that is really great, but I only want a recommendation from you if you've actually had it, let me know what I'm missing. I would love to buy another. I have a budget for another 3 or 4 or 5 bottles. I'd like to buy another 5 just so that we have it, just for people who want to try something cool. Send me on Twitter, please. Send me some recommendations at Michael Pachter. And happy if you put a link in there with a price or a description or something so I can look it up. But I really want to make this party special for people who want to try special whiskeys. And again, you know, I'm not suggesting that you be this decadent and spend $500 a week on your whiskey. But, you know, if you drink beer, you know, your average beer is like $1 a drink, right? You know, you're not going to get 500 sips out of a 25-ounce bottle of bourbon, but you're going to get 25. It's like $40 for the best thing you've ever had in your life. Give it a shot. Like, what the hell? It's fun. And again, don't do this often. Do this before you die. Everybody should have a $500 whiskey experience just in their bucket list. So I'm trying to provide that for people who otherwise wouldn't buy it themselves. And like this, the guy asked for it. First of all, it took me frickin' 50 tries to find this. I really had trouble finding this. And I'm like 10 years old, 10 summers old, 10-year-old bourbon for $500. I have no idea why. I can't wait to taste this because it's like, why? How could they possibly charge $500 for a bottle of bourbon? But I'm going to find out. And again, I've heard it's great. This is $400. This 1990 Black Art, this is frickin' phenomenal. This really seriously might be the best scotch I've ever had. So this, I would actually recommend that you consider buying. It's about $15 an ounce to buy. That's not crazy. It's really not.
It's a little crazy.
Well, no, it's not. You go into a bar.
Relatively speaking.
What's a scotch cost in a bar?
Yeah.
$15 is not crazy.
The markup at bars are insane.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can buy for this. If you're going to drink 25 drinks in a bar over the rest of your life, you can afford one bottle of this and skip the drinks in a bar. Anyway, so I'm looking for suggestions on high-end spirits because I've got 900 of my closest friends that I want to be able to try some of this fun stuff.